What if every person of color felt safe with law enforcement? How do we create a world where people are not afraid to call the police? What if we lived in a country where African Americans had no reason to fear the police? What if police had non-violent tools to create a safe environment for all? These questions seem like a fantasy. The world is possible with critical changes in police training and supervision. To begin, we must go back to the origins of policing in the United States. In the original colonies, there was no permanent police forces. What they did have were colonial slave patrols. They were mandated to capture runaway slaves and suppress rebellions. These slave patrols evolved into permanent police departments. These patrols laid the foundation for policing, focused on maintaining racial hierarchies and controlling black populations. Despite different origins, policing consistently served as a tool for social control, embedding racial biases. From the beginning, the goal of policing included racism and brutality, and that continues today with unfair outcomes. There is a legacy of injustice in the United States. Historical injustices continue to influence modern policing practices, leading to police brutality against black people. Policing originated with slave patrols designed to control enslaved black people, establishing racial control and oppression. Post-Civil War black codes and Jim Crow laws criminalized black existence, embedding a racial bias in law enforcement. Present-day policing continues the legacy of slave patrols with racial profiling, excessive use of force, and discriminatory practices. Data shows black individuals are disproportionately stopped, searched, and subjected to police violence. Here we have a graph showing that black people are 2.9 times more likely than white people to be killed by by police in the U.S. The current state of police brutality. Mappingpoliceviolence.org reported that over 1,100 police killings in 2021 reflects a persistent problem with lethal force. Policeviolence.org shows black people are 3 times more likely to be killed by police than white individuals. In 2021, black people accounted for 27% of those who were killed by police, despite being only 13% of the U.S. population. Black individuals are more likely to be unarmed when they are killed by police, highlighting excessive use of force. Police violence is more common in urban settings and in the southern United States. The legacy of slave patrols persists in modern policing through racial profiling. The deaths of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor illustrate these systemic issues. A notable example is George Floyd's murder by Derek Chauvin, who knelt on Floyd's neck for 9.5 minutes while Floyd pleaded, "I can't breathe." Despite national outrage and some reforms in Minneapolis, such as banning chokeholds and requiring officers to stop improper force, comprehensive changes have yet to materialize. Mappingpoliceviolence.org indicates that 98% of cases from 2013 to 2021 did not result in charges against officers. Fewer than 1% of officers who are charged are convicted when charged with misconduct or excessive force. Body cameras showed mixed results in reducing police violence. Emphasizing de-escalation training has shown promise in reducing violence and improving community relations. Public perception and opinions. Insights from a Pew Research show public concern about police accountability and civilian power to sue for misconduct. Here it shows that only 25% of people are in favor of defunding the police in spite of high concern about misconduct by police. So 75% are opposed to defunding the police. Qualified immunity. The doctrine of qualified immunity shields police officers from civil suits for actions they took while performing their duties unless they violated the law. This protection means officers are rarely held personally liable for on-the-job conduct. Pew Research found that 66% of people believe qualified immunity should be abolished for police officers, as it is thought that personal liability would deter excessive force and misconduct. Notably, more Black and Hispanic Americans support abolishing qualified immunity than white Americans. Unfortunately, Congress has not succeeded in passing legislation to abolish it. Psychological and social effects and mental health impact of police brutality. The psychological effects of police brutality in individuals and communities is trauma from police violence affects mental health, trust in authorities, and community cohesion. In an interview with Megan Slater, a clinical psychologist with decades of experience, she discussed her career and the differing environments between Washington, D.C. and California. Issues of police brutality are pretty openly discussed in Washington, D.C., probably because of the majority of African American residents there, versus California, where it's rarely discussed because it's such a small minority of people in this area. During the Black Lives Matter protests in San Jose, she was working in a homeless transition facility, and she faced a crisis with a schizophrenic resident. He threatened violence against the facility. Her supervisors ordered her to call the police, but she refused, and she called instead the community mobile response team. She was afraid for the residents' safety if police were involved. The team, however, was delayed because of the protest, and so she managed the situation herself, successfully de-escalating the threat without police intervention. However, this led to a conflict with her boss for defying protocol. This situation shows some of the problems and challenges in addressing mental health issues within institutional frameworks. Some of the psychological and society effects for the community trust and legitimacy of police brutality is erosion of the trust between law enforcement and communities. Rebuilding this trust is important for society's overall well-being. Comprehensive reforms are necessary to rebuild trust. These include implementing de-escalation training, increasing transparency and accountability, and fostering community policing initiatives and emphasizing mutual respect and collaboration. By addressing the root causes of distrust, we can heal the divide and restore faith in law enforcement. Strategies for reform. Recommendations from experts. We have recommendations from the final report of the President's Task Force on 21st Century Policing. This is a report by an Obama task force. There was listed many steps, such as promoting transparency within the police department's accountability and community engagement. Effective strategies for reform, interventions that have shown promise in reducing police brutality include community policing, mental health response teams, and procedural justice training. In conclusion, although it seems like a distant dream, it is achievable through practical and critical changes in police training and supervision. To address this, we must implement community policing, mental health response teams, procedural justice training, focusing on fairness, respect, and transparency. These strategies can rebuild trust and enhance public safety and foster better police-community relations. By working together, we can create a just and equitable society. If you would like to help, there are many organizations that are trying to fight police brutality. Some of them, a few of them are listed here. One is Black Lives Matter. They are a big, they do a lot of protests. They have a variety of resources. These include toolkits for community organizing, police advocacy, self-care, and media relations. You can also go to NAACP. This is a long-term organization. They are dedicated to advancing the rights of Black people. Their statement highlights the crucial role of each member in advancing racial equality and achieving significant milestones for Black Americans. And then there is the National Police Accountability Project, NPAP. This works to protect the civil rights of people of color, focusing on establishing funds for victims of police violence, ending solidarity confinement, eliminating the use of excited delirium as a medical diagnosis, community control over policing, expanding accountability for police, actions mandating transparency in police departments, removing K-9 units, protecting the right to film police, ending the criminalization of immigrant communities, and reducing police presence in schools. Thank you very much.